Why do you get into mental health and why do you believe it's so important?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in getting help, seeking help. There's so many different challenges we go through in life, and oftentimes I think they're too hard to face alone. It's something I've definitely needed to access throughout my life, throughout my marriage, throughout raising teens, through my dad's cancer journey. And
Right.
I mean, it's so beneficial. So,
Has 2020 shown you that being healthy, not just physically, but mentally is so vital to us?
yeah, I mean, definitely. And to be honest, during the first lockdown, I remember sitting there numb many
Hmm.
days, watching way too much news, in this disbelief like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
How long is this lockdown going to last? Can my kids go back to school? What about their hockey and baseball and all these different layers? What about our finances, my husband's business? There's just so many worries and so much stress. So, to be honest, the first lockdown, I didn't take advantage of the time I had on my hands to really focus on my physical, mental health. I drank too much. I ate too many carbs, too much wine
Yeah.
and cheese, definitely. So I
You're
went into
definitely not
this.
alone on that, though.
I know, I know. And I'm like, okay, how do I just love these COVID curves? But I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel good. So I needed to make some changes. So this lockdown, I've definitely felt more prepared. I'm working with a life coach myself, Christy Lindholm, who is wonderful. And I've gone to lots of counseling. It's something I really believe in. It's helped me so much. I just think to have that sounding board or someone that's one step removed that you can just talk to and be real with and deep with is really, really beneficial.
Have you found, though, that being open and finding and being vulnerable is a key to bettering yourself, not just physically, but mentally?
Oh, definitely. I think though, anytime you are vulnerable or put yourself out there, certainly on social media, you're going to get criticism. And I'm no different. I mean, when I posted last night that I was going to be talking with you, I had so many messages that I woke up to this morning that were like, "Way to go, Karen! Like, good for you." And then there was a few that are like, "Wait a minute! Like, he last interviewed Kelly Rudy, and now he wants to talk to you." And then, it's this narrative you can get caught up in your mind and just
Right.
all these stories we tell ourselves. So it's something that you have to sit with and really, really
Mhm.
work through. And I
Right.
think that's something with this pandemic. I've had a really blessed life in lots of ways, but it's been really challenging in other ways. So I've had to sit with it and sit with the pain and the feelings and work through my emotions. I'm a total extrovert. I love to be with friends and socialize, and that's my happy place. That's what fills me up. So to be locked at home, it's been hard. It's
No,
been
it's not
really
been
hard.
easy. Yeah.
Hmm.
What do you do to keep yourself busy? Or I guess let's say the first wave and then the second wave.
Well, the first wave, I still did some at-home yoga, but like I say, I'm so social and I do it as much for the social aspect as I do the workout. So, I mean, I managed. I really, really missed my family, missed my friends, felt so bad for all these kids with online school and all of the different struggles they're facing.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like the second time I've been more prepared
Oh,
and definitely leaned into getting help, which is something I still think that there's a stigma with, or some people may be afraid to do that. But honestly, it is so, so worth it. You just gotta make it a priority, and there's no shame in it.
no. Have you found when you stopped drinking or slowed down on drinking that it helped find clarity?
Oh yeah, for sure. And so something I've been working on with my coach is I've done dry January before. I'm not doing dry January right now. Um, I love gin and tonic. Like my girlfriends will tell you. I actually like what I do is I drink gin and soda and then just a splash of tonic. So it's a few less calories, a little bit healthier.
Right.
And so when I ordered that at the restaurant one time, someone said to me, "Oh, that's called a GST." So I do love my gin,
Yeah.
preferably Hendrix. But yeah, I felt like at times I was trying to numb some of the feelings of everything.
Mhm.
So I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to be more fit. I wanted to be healthier. And that wasn't working with where I was going.
Have you found peace within yourself throughout the process?
I feel like I'm in a really good place right
Yeah.
now. Definitely a work in progress. I hope to be a forever student. I love learning. A couple years ago, I started a book club with my girlfriends.
Oh, yeah.
And so we all got to rotate and pick different books that we would read over the month, and then we'd get together and discuss them. So I always showed up. They're like, "Oh, here comes Karen with her self-help books," and it's like Glennon Doyle, Brene Brown.
Oh, so
I
good.
love, yeah, I know. I love the deep conversations, and I'm not afraid to go there. I mean, I think that's where
Well, that's
the
where the
real
magic
change
lies.
happens. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What made you like have some fear?
Well, I think um, I'm a sensitive person, and I feel we're often really hard on ourselves, and I'm no different. I struggle with confidence. I struggle to fit into this mold that I have in my mind that I'm supposed to fit into. And then I really think that there's these situations that happen in our life where you're maybe criticized or told you're not pretty enough or good enough or smart enough, which I've been through. And I feel like deep down, I am a confident person and I have a lot to offer. And I've got big goals for myself. But then I think if we get stuck in this narrative of the stories we've been told, even if it was 20 years ago, it's really, really hard to break free from that. And it's something that holds you back. It holds you back from being the best you. So
What do you
I'm
do to
working
work
on it.
through it? Yeah, what do you do to work through it?
Yeah.
Because that's not easy to go through, and then you have that stigma on yourself, like you said, I'm not good enough.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I've seen several psychologists, several life coaches, and just having people cheering you on and holding you accountable and there with you along, supporting your journey and believing in you.
A lot of people have shame around saying that they go to therapy or they have a psychologist. Did you ever come through that, or were you like, I need help and I don't care what people think?
I think years ago I did feel some of that for sure, but I just see the value in it. And
Hmm.
really, I mean, you're not going to make everyone happy. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea or whatever you want to say, and that's okay. So it's so beneficial, and it's definitely helped me. And I'm not afraid to say I've needed help many times in my life and will continue to. And like I said, I'm a work in progress, and I'm willing to do the work and yeah, just continue growing and learning.
The most important thing is the self awareness of realizing that you need the work, and no one else can save you except
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah, no, for me, I think that I've had some situations definitely with around my dad's cancer.
Yeah.
So he was diagnosed with two types of cancer in 2016.
In
And
the same year? Two.
yeah, so
Oh
in
my.
April, he was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Okay.
And then that end of July, he was diagnosed with amyloidosis, which is a rare blood. It's basically sticky proteins without trying to get into the
Right.
medical side, because my nurse sister will be like, Karen, you explained that all wrong. But anyways, very rare. And the combination of the two is almost unheard of. So the doctors were, they had their hands full trying to figure out which do we treat first? How do we go about this? We never specifically asked his diagnosis. or sorry, his prognosis.
Oh,
Um, but I mean, we did Dr. Google it, which you should never do, and it kind of said 6 to 12 months. So this April, it will be 5 years, and he has done amazingly well.
thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a rocky road, my gosh. And really, what's got me through that is going to a therapist and talking to them about it. My mom and my sister are both nurses, so they have the medical side and expertise covered. And my mom does lots of his home care, so he doesn't have to have home care nurses come in. So it's taken a toll on her, but my gosh, my parents are rock stars. And my role in all of this has been to be the cheerleader, I guess you could say, and be positive and, try and lift everyone up when things get really hard and heavy.
Hmm.
But for me to be able to do that, I
You need to be mentally and physically strong. Yeah.
exactly.
Let's dive deep into this. How did you deal with it? Because you're still your dad's daughter as well, and you're trying to keep everybody sane. How did you stay sane? And yeah, therapy is one thing, but what else did you do to kind of deal with your emotions? Because there's a lot that we can bottle up, and it can creep up on us.
Hmm. I mean, just little simple things. It's the daily habits, I think, which none of them are anything big,
Hmm.
but they all add up. So for me, if I'd had a long day at the hospital or things were heavy or we were waiting for test results, I have a bubble bath and I blast my country music in my headphones because none of my boys like country music. So I do that, and that just kind of grounds me. Meditation, yoga, and exercise.
Walk me through this. So your dad, how did he get better? What happened? What was the story behind all of this?
Yeah, so we've been really lucky
Yeah.
that he's had incredible doctors at the Tom Baker Cancer
Hmm.
Center. And when he was first diagnosed, we were hoping that it wasn't cancer.
Hmm.
So when we heard that word, we were all shaken. I mean, I am so close with my dad.
Right.
My dad was a custom home builder. I worked for him as an interior designer. We were just like two peas in a pod. I love my dad so much, and the thought of this happening to this amazingly strong man that
Yeah.
was really healthy and helped me through anything in my life. The thought of him having cancer, let alone two cancers and terminal, was hard. It rocked our family for sure. But thank God, like we're a really close family, and we
Right.
all pulled in together. And sometimes I'd be at my breaking point, sometimes my sister would, sometimes my mom would, and I think we were all really good at asking each other for help. And my dad just has the most amazing attitude. He throughout his fight, he did 21 months of chemo, weekly chemo often, and they tried to bring his protein levels so low to the point that it almost finished him.
Wow. So he was at
And
a weak point and just couldn't function at all.
yeah, it was he was skin and bones. I mean, he still is too thin for sure, but he's working on it.
Hmm.
Something that's really helped him is CBD oils, and it's funny because I suggested it to him at the beginning. I'm like, Dad, if this helps with your appetite and your sleep, like just give it a shot. And he's like, Karen, I got through all of the 70s never touching drugs. I am not going to start now. So he was pretty adamant on that. But then after so many rounds of chemo, he caved, I guess you could say. And honestly, it has helped him so much.
Is he still taking CBD oils?
Yes, he is.
No, there's so much health benefits to it. I mean, in terms of even
Hmm.
just pain, ache.
Yep. Yep. So that's a part of it for sure. And the amazing doctors and my dad's attitude and will to live.
Hmm.
I remember one night in the ER, I was massaging his feet, and my dad has an amazing sense of humor. And yeah, I'm rubbing his feet, and he's tired and kind of, you know, half asleep, and then he opens his eyes and he goes, Karen, don't get any ideas. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I am not ready for a toe tag yet, meaning he's not ready to
Yeah,
die. He's like, I'm like, Dad, I'm just rubbing your feet. Of course I'm
that's so
not ready.
funny.
But he's so funny. So, I mean, he's been able to continue his sense of humor
Yeah.
throughout this. And it gives us all hope and reminds us he's still the guy he is. He's been through lots, but wow, I mean, what a fighter. I have so much love and respect, always have, but this takes it to a whole new level.
Good Lord. I just can't even imagine, not only for the family, but what he had to go through and continue fighting. Like, that's a warrior right there. What's
Mm-hmm,
inside
mm-hmm.
of him. What was his will to live facing all of this? Have you ever asked him, like, what was going through your mind to continue pushing through the pain? And I mean, chemo's, I can't even imagine when people go through chemo, what they go through.
Mm-hmm. I haven't asked him
Yeah.
that specifically. I'd be interested to know, though. I should ask him that because, as I said, I'm all about those hard questions, and I know he'd happily answer it. Um,
What was going through your mind when you're seeing your dad from, full of life and then becoming skin and bones and weak and this person that
mhm.
you love and adore? What was going through your mind?
Well, I think firstly was to be strong for him
Yeah.
because that's what he had always done and been for me. So it was my turn to be strong for him. And I told him that. And I would make him lemongrass towels and take them up to the hospital and lie them on his forehead and, yeah, rub his feet or hold his hand and just talk to him. And there were many times where the doctors said, okay, I'm not sure if he'll wake up tomorrow. So I remember just being strong and happy and positive for him. And I walked out the hospital door and I just lost it. And I was crying so hard. I went into the elevator like I was ugly crying. And this couple, this sweet couple, I still remember their faces. And they looked at me and they're like, oh dear, we're so sorry for your loss. And I said, no, my dad's still alive. It's just, I am just like emotionally spent.
Yeah.
So finally, I got to my car. I forgot where I parked at first because I think he'd been in the hospital 16 days straight then. And I got to the parking lot. It was almost midnight. I'm like, where did I even park? And then found my car and I sat there and I just cried my eyes out.
Oh my God.
First of all, I text my husband. I'm like, I'm okay. I just need to cry before I drive and got it out, had a sip of water and then drove home. And yeah, you have to have those outlets. And I think you have to sit with your feelings and allow yourself to feel it. And it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it's easier to numb it with distractions, whatever they are, drinking, friends, whatever it is, shopping, whatever your thing is. But I think something that I'm really proud of myself for is that I've really been able to lean into getting help, work with people that are educated and can help me through this because you just sometimes life is too heavy. You can't do it alone and you got to sit with that pain and feel all of it. And that's how you really
Hmm.
come out the other side.
So often we think we can do it alone. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you have you found peace within the chaos
With my dad, you mean?
with your dad? Yes.
Well, I think I have,
Yeah.
but
Are you still
the
on your
other,
tippy toes? Is what I was going to ask.
yeah, because I mean, it still is terminal. There's no, I feel like he's at a really good place. He's fought two staph infections.
Okay.
He had influenza A. So, I mean, obviously, we're really careful. He would not do well with COVID. I miss them terribly, but he's so cute. He's so good at FaceTiming now. At first, it was just like the ceiling or their dog or
Yeah.
you know, the kitchen counter. And I'm like, Dad,
Parents.
I want to see your face, Dad. So my parents are awesome that way. They're pretty good with technology and we've just been connecting that way. But oh my gosh, I miss them and miss not being able to see them for Christmas. But we're just being super careful and following the rules and doing everything we can to
No. How do
help
they
this
get
end.
groceries and stuff right now?
Yeah, so they're okay. They venture out once in a while.
Yeah.
My dad's always been just with having so much chemo. I mean, he's got one of those little push things. They live in a condo building,
Yeah.
so he doesn't touch any buttons. He was like hand sanitizer king before it was like
Before it was
a
cool.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just because he's always had to be careful with a reduced immune system since he's been diagnosed. So,
Oh wow, that's so nice though, and I'm happy that you're able to continue speaking with them. It's one of those things when you lose a parent, it's tough.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Now, you've also been pursuing a master's degree, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so in 2019, I
Hmm.
started my master's degree in counseling psychology at Yorkville University. So it was all online, and it's something I've always wanted to do. Years ago, after my undergrad, I did the first year of the Masters of Architecture, and I don't feel like that was the best fit for me. I was kind of trying to turn my artsy fartsy ways into a career.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't my passion. I was interested in it, but it wasn't my passion. And I got engaged that year to my husband, and we wanted to start a family young. And we were married at 23, had our first son at 24, second son at 25. So we were done having kids at 25. And I'm glad. I don't have any regrets about that. But psychology is something I've always been really, really interested in. So I thought, okay, my boys are more independent, and here we go, let's do this. And I started and I loved it. I was really, really, I was fascinated with the material. I did really well. I had all A's because I was set on proving to myself that I could do this. But do you know what? My personal life definitely suffered. I was studying 60 hours a week. I had to relearn APA format and how to do PowerPoint presentations and all these things I was rusty on because I've been a mom primarily.
Hmm.
So, in a way, I was like, I sat back and I was like, okay, this isn't working. This isn't working for my family. And this is too much to take on right now. And I felt like a failure at first. And then I was like, okay, I need to give myself some grace. And my number one goal is to be a mom and a good mom and a mom that my boys feel that they can talk to and that they can share their stress and worries with. I always say the best conversations with you have with your boys anyways, maybe for girls too. I only have boys, so but is when you're driving and they're talking to the back of your head
Oh yeah.
where they can just, say what's on their mind. And so that's one thing I try and do when we're driving. I try not to have my country music on, not that they'd like it anyways, but just have quiet time. And I'm like, boys, put your phones down and let's just like chat.
Yeah.
And
Talk-
sometimes they want to, and sometimes they don't. And I think that's one of the things with boys too, is it's like you got to be there for them when they're ready, when they do want to talk. But then sometimes when you're like, hi, hon, how was your day? How are you feeling? They're like, oh my gosh, mom, you're so annoying. Leave me alone. So you gotta gotta
you got to know
take
when. Yeah.
you gotta take their cues and just kind of be there and ready when they want to come and talk to you, but not pester them when they don't. I
No,
guess.
no, I'm with
Yeah.
you. That's funny. Have you been thinking that you might start this year or next year? When are you thinking to start again?
Yeah, so I have put my master's on hold because I feel like once my boys are off at university or doing whatever their passion is or whatever they choose to do, then I'll have lots of time to focus on my master's. And in the meantime, along the same lines, but definitely has its own lane within the mental health, is I decided to pursue a dual certificate in health and life coaching.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm 2 months into a 6 month program, and oh my gosh, I love it. There's so many good, tangible,
Lessons to be learned. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and things that are more where we are today and what we can do moving forward. Whereas a lot of the psychology was a little bit more digging into the past, which is relevant too. Don't get me wrong. They both, like I say, I'm a big believer in both, but I feel like this is a good place for me right now, and I can still help people, motivate them, be that accountability and cheering them on, hearing their goals, and being there for them, and using some of the lessons I've learned too.
You work with ARCs and you've fostered over 27 animals. How did this all happen and what made you get into it?
Well, it actually happened at first because a friend of mine, Codette LaBarbara, she was fostering um, a batch of kittens from ARCs, and I said, "Oh my gosh, can I come over and see these kittens?" This was pre-COVID when you could see people. Yeah, I typically have them about 2 months and just love them like crazy while I have them. Well, I foster failed on my first batch, which was hard. So I have Johnny, and my husband's allergic to cats. So that was even a little harder, but he's used to them. His allergies are much better now. And my husband's been really, really supportive of it. And in fact, my last batch of foster kittens, I was driving the boys around and I said, okay, the kittens have had their vet exams and they're ready to be picked up. So he's like, oh, I'll go pick them up. So he goes to ARCS, picks up this
Aw.
little batch of kittens for me, brings them home. And I always keep them separated from my other animals, especially when they're little. So I either have them in the basement or my den. And
Raised money for ARCs, haven't you?
yeah, so last year my husband and I were the co-chairs for Willow Park Wines and Spirits charity gala. So we raised just under $300,000, and we were lucky to get to choose the charities receiving the money. So the money went to ARCS and
Mm-hmm.
to Tom Baker Cancer Center and to the Alberta Children's Hospital new mental health facility, and to Wellsprung, which is they support people with counseling and different services
I love that. I
when they're
love it.
facing cancer.
And you guys got to choose where the money was
Mm-hmm.
going to go?
Yeah, yeah, we did. So, I mean, there's so many incredible charities. Obviously, this last year we had to put it on hold, but they still did an online auction and were able to raise, I'm not sure what the final number was, but it did do really well. We were less involved with that because we were more, setting the theme for the gala, which was
Yes.
Caliente. So it was a super fun Spanish Mexican theme. It was a really great night. I was nervous as anything, but um, yeah, just remind myself, what's my why? Why am I doing this?
So what has 2020 taught you this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of lessons that 2020 has brought that we probably wouldn't have realized or looked at the same way. And for me, it's just I feel like I'm more grateful
Mm-hmm.
for my house, for my boys, for the things I do
And
have, for the things I can control, I guess you could say. And I've loved this time with my teenage boys. I'm not sure that they would say the same thing. I mean, I feel bad for all the kids, but especially the teens. This is the most social time of their life, and they're stuck at home, and there's been so many limitations on what they can do. So I feel for them, but just having time with my family. And I felt like before I used to maybe feel this need to try and keep up or have this or do this, and I think it's just really grounded
to,
me, made me sit and do the hard work on myself, which I've needed to do. And I think that because everything's been stripped back and so many restrictions have been put in place, I think it's a really good opportunity where we can really decide what do we want to let back in. You know, do we want to be super social and the life of the party, which I felt I was before, but I don't know. I think I might be a little more introverted when all of this is done, which is okay because I don't know, we're growing and
I think
learning and
that comes with
changing,
age
and
as
that's a
well,
good thing.
or being forced into it with these circumstances.
Hmm. And another question I really love and encourage people to ask themselves throughout all of this is, if I was enough, what would I do right now?
If you were enough, what would you do right now?
And now you're asking me. Well, yeah. If I was enough, I would be doing what I'm doing right now. I would be getting my butt on the spin bike every day. I would be doing the hard work, sitting with
Mm-hmm.
all of these stories I run through my head that I'm not this and that and good enough, pretty enough, all these things that I've been told, that put these limiting beliefs and cause this narrative to go around in our head, and not believing that, just working through it. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm chasing some of my own dreams for sure, small steps, while still trying to be the best mom I can be to my boys and set a good
Yeah.
example for
Is there
them.
some values and traits that you see in your father or your mother, like in that generation, that you want to move the ball forward into your kids or instill into your kids?
I mean, I'm really lucky because I have very open-minded parents, and I felt growing up I could talk to them about anything. And that's something, thankfully, so far, I've been able to carry on with my boys, where they'll come and talk to me. And you know what? It's not always what I want to hear. Um, I remember I was writing one of my master's papers, and one of my sons came in and said, "Mom, can you close your computer? I need to talk to you about something." And it was something not so good that he had done, that I was surprised that he had done. And he came and talked to me about it, admitted it. And I feel really grateful. And what I always say to my boys is, I don't expect you to be perfect, but I expect you to be
Mm.
perfectly honest. And I really think that that was instilled in me with my parents. And like I say, just being open minded. My parents are really good not to judge people and just to see the
And I
best
think
in
that's what you
people.
do, and I really appreciate that. You know, you're moving the ball forward. You're letting that pendulum swing, and you're helping other people in your charity work with ARCs, and now in mental well-being and wellness as a whole. So I'm really grateful that there are people like yourself in Calgary that can actually help individuals.
Oh my gosh, well, you're sweet. And like I say, I still feel humbled to be on here. And I'm like, I don't know why you want to talk to me, but I appreciate your time. And hopefully I have a few good things to add, and can kind of hopefully provide some hope and
Thank you so
light
much for your
through all
time
of
today,
this.
Karen.